Welcome back to the Sales Genius Podcast and the War Games Group, everyone. I'm Joe Ingram, the host. You know that, though. Today, we're exploring the frontiers of artificial intelligence with the acclaimed keynote speaker, Scott Duffy. From his early days with Tony Robbins to becoming a top speaker on entrepreneurship and AI, and close and it's near and dear to my heart. Scott has a wealth of knowledge to share with us today. In today's episode, we'll delve into the AI Mavericks program, uncovering how these mastermind events foster innovation and strategic growth. So tune in as Scott provides actionable insights into leveraging AI to transform your business. So let's get things kicked off.
Welcome to War Games, hosted by the sales genius Joe Ingram. If you're looking to win the sales battle, then you have joined the right team. In the War Games group, we devise strategies for sales, marketing, branding, mindset, and attitude. We enlist the assistance from the most successful producers across all industries. We then share their knowledge and techniques with you. Our single goal is to get you ready for your next sales opportunity. When it comes to crossing the minefield of sales, step in the footprints of those that have crossed before you. Now, prepare yourself for boot camp and beyond. It's time for the War Games to begin.
How we play a game.
Hi, it's me again. Let's bring some VIPs up on the screen. I always get so excited watching that intro video because I'm like, look at those people. Look at all those people. How cool is that? Look at that. Tyler, you drive safely. All right. See, that's my public safety announcement. So, all right. And let me go pull up our esteemed guest, Scott Duffy. Scott, welcome. We're going to move everybody around over here, and we're going to give you the big spot that's over here.
Boy.
I bragged about you a little bit before you came on. That was here. So I want to throw the show over to you, Scott, as far as what is it you're doing? What is it we can expect? Like, again, so I do a lot of shows on AI, right? I've had Misuse on here before, too. He's part of the Steve Sims group. And so I'm so excited about it. And I know you've got the AI Mavericks that are coming up, and I'm not giving anything away. You got a podcast by the same name starting this month.
Yep.
So, yes, be good. Talk to me.
First of all, it's so good to see you guys, everybody here.
Exactly.
I'm still pumped from the intro, from the War Games intro and music and all that stuff. Super cool.
Yes, I had to bring Ty in to put on the bald versus hair. Yes.
Okay.
Even us up. Yeah. So Brian pointed that one out, saying, "Look we got 3 of the bald guys and 3 of the people with hair." So fantastic stuff. All right, Scott. Talk to me. What is AI Mavericks, right? Because you've been out pushing, right? You've always been the entrepreneurial's best friend because you're the most experienced one who's been putting the most things together, selling off companies, but you jumped over and disappeared for a while.
I did. I kind of went off the grid like 2.5, 3 years ago, and I dove deep into AI, and I was working on building an AI business in the market research space. And while I was out raising money, what kept happening is, and this really started in, what was it, December of 2022 with the launch of ChatGPT, is I would be presenting to VCs, venture capitalists, and things like that, our deal. And then afterwards, they'd pull me aside and they'd be like, hey, just okay, we like the business, but when we take a look at our portfolio companies, our founders, our CEOs, our leadership teams are just completely overwhelmed by everything AI right now. And could you go in there and talk to them and teach them how to build an AI vision, and teach them how to build a strategy and a roadmap, and teach them how to talk to us, their investors and their boards and their teams, in order to help us understand the plan and get buy-in. And so I just kept hearing this over and over and over again. And what I decided to do was build a business out of it. Because I think that, we're all in sales and we're talking about sales. If that's the market saying it's what it wants, then we should give the market what it's saying that it wants. So that was really how I started AI Mavericks. And the focus of AI Mavericks is really to build, the #1 AI and business growth community in the world. And the people who are a part of this are founders, CEOs, and leadership teams. And they want to build great companies, and they want to learn how to make AI an important part of their business strategy. And one of the things I say about this group is that so many people I talk to are stuck between the fear of missing out on one side and the fear of jumping in on the other. And they're the kind of people that were like on their toes last year with the introduction to ChatGPT. And they like subscribed to every single AI email newsletter. And so but today the first thing they do when they open their email is delete every single one of them because they're just so overwhelmed. It's so much.
I delete anything that starts with, I hope this email finds you well. Because AI wrote that for them.
Yeah. So that's what we do. And, we have a process where we help people understand, again, how to create the AI vision, how to create the strategy, the roadmap, and talk to people. And we're really excited about it. We got great partners and speakers and guests, and yeah.
Fantastic. So here's a couple things that, I have the question on. So throughout your career, you have witnessed, right, significant changes as far as the tech landscape that we're playing in, right? Yeah. So how should the business owners that are here, right, just like those other ones that were freaking out because of all the stuff they had to freak out about, right? How should they in today adapt and capitalize on the advancements in AI? Because I know a lot of people have a clue; they can barely spell it, right? As they go on, but they do want to say, "How do I use it? How do I come into being actually someone who can use that?"
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the pace of change, I think pre-internet was what I would just call linear. The pace of change in business was relatively slow. As a business, you could like literally look outside your window and you could see your competition. You knew if they were growing because they were physically expanding, right? And then the internet changed everything. And the pace of change went from linear to exponential. And now with AI, what's happening is we're going from linear to exponential to what I just say is incomprehensible. The pace of change is so fast. Now, I was involved in my first internet startup. The internet first became commercial, kind of the way that we know it, in October of 1994. Mark Andreessen in Chicago launched Mosaic, the first web browser. So that was the first time people could like get on the internet and open up like a browser and see the web the way we see it today, or sort of the way we see it today.
Go to Alta Vista. Yeah, go to Alta Vista to search. Yeah. Netscape.
Yeah, and they were all out of colleges. I think Alta Vista came out of Carnegie Mellon, Yahoo came out of Stanford. You had Netscape, you had InfoSeek at the time. Nice. And so 2 months later, we started an internet access company. I wrote a plan for Yahoo when they had 10 people that was theoretical on how you'd make money on a website before there were ads and things like that. And the only reason I'm saying that is that this reminds me so much of that time. I think that the pace of change and how fast things are moving is much faster. I think that today, because we all have access to the internet and mobile devices that we didn't have back then, we have much more information coming at us every day. But the thing that's similar is this: in the same way that the internet became nothing more than a tool for us in our business, AI as a business owner should be thought of as another tool. And so what I'm always asking business owners today is this, let's go through each one of the departments of your company. And what's just one problem that you want to solve? What's one area you want to be more efficient? What's one area that you want to increase your margins? What's one area where, for example, you may want to reduce your headcount? And then, is there a tool out there that can help you to achieve that? And how can we help to mitigate your risk when implementing that strategy? And so instead of being overwhelmed by everything, what I suggest is just to focus on one thing. Pick one problem and let's figure out how to solve it with an existing tool in the market.
So I like analogies. I notice you're wearing the Aura ring.
Yes.
So, so if we were to use that as an example, most people go, "I'm in good health," but they don't really track the data, right? What am I eating? How many hours am I sleeping? How many calories am I burning? So, in essence, like an Aura ring is a very simple version of AI that you use to attack your health as one area of your life. It doesn't solve your financial problems. It doesn't solve your relationship problems, but you had one need. So is that a good analogy for what you're saying people should do with AI?
Yeah. I mean, really pick one need, pick one problem, pick one thing that you want to solve, one thing you want. I mean, I'll give you an example as it relates just to this AI Mavericks business. So, the part of our business that we're leading with is an event series. And what I did is I took a look at my last event series and I went kind of like department to department or through like each process and figured out where did I have the most bottlenecks? Like what in each area, what problem could I solve? So for example, when I determined who kind of roughly this market was I wanted to talk to, I said, well, I want to know everything I possibly can about this particular market. Right? I want a really detailed. So I called a friend and they said, is there an AI tool that can read my website and then tell me more about my market? And what is it they want? What are they moving towards? What are they moving away from? What is it they want to learn? What do they want to buy? How much will they pay? And so he took me to a tool and I did that. And then I was like, the problem I had with my last event series was I really didn't have enough thought leadership content out there on LinkedIn. And I felt that was an area that I really missed. So I'm like, is there a tool out there that can help me to write content specifically for LinkedIn? So I called another friend who had an agency and he took me to a website that, again, read my website and then ended up giving me a 12-month content plan, week by week, which articles we would write, why they were important, press a couple of buttons and they're customized and you have that content. Even the problems like this. In my last event series, what I would do is before the event, I would send a personal video to everyone that was coming. So let's say there were 50 people, let's say there were 100 people, let's say that doesn't matter. And so what I would do is I would record virtually the same video, but with a different name to customize it. And so then what I did was after the event, I do the same thing. So imagine making 100 videos on your phone and texting them all and then doing it again. So I called another friend. I said, how do I eliminate this problem? And they took me to a tool, an AI tool that enables me to record my message one time, give them a list of all of the people that I want to send this to with their phone number. And then what I do is I record it once, it replaces the first name, and then it texts it to them for me. So I'm just using AI to solve problems. And that's what I'm trying to help business owners to do as well.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Because I was going to jump in and go, okay, give me one of the AI items that you used in your own company to solve an issue. And you already threw out two of them. So thanks, Brian, for stealing my question.
Well, the funny thing is even the name. So the real story on how I came up with the name was I'm a huge Top Gun fan, and I was watching Top Gun Mavericks on my couch with my oldest daughter, and we were talking about the idea. I'm like, I think I want to start maybe another event kind of series and yada yada yada, and she's like, you should call it Top Gun. That's what she said because we were watching the movie,
right?
And I said, let's go to ChatGPT, and so we typed some stuff in ChatGPT. And it came up with the name AI Mavericks for me.
I love it. Yeah. I was going to say, it's on my phone. There's all kinds of stuff that I'm always playing with ChatGPT that's in there. So I haven't played much with Gemini once they switched it from Bard over to Gemini. But I did utilize, I couldn't get ChatGPT on some of the chat bots that I make because to me, I don't want to read another book. Right. Yeah. I'm just like, I don't need to read another book. So I was watching something on TikTok the other night and the guy said, do you know in the Bible, what's missing is the book of Enoch. And I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Right. And he's like, and so I looked for it, found several PDFs of it, built a chat bot, and then all I do is ask it questions. Okay, so what is this? What are we talking about? What are we doing? Like, it took me 10 minutes to come back and get this stuff. But I look at it and I say, there's so many different ways we can approach this. And again, how easy is it to just pull open your phone, click on the button and ask it, give me 10 names, right? That I could be naming this, right? Because again, one of my questions too is like, okay, AI Mavericks, first thing every time I say it, I'm like, yeah, negative ghostwriter, the pattern is full, is all that comes to my head while we're sitting there. So
you might laugh about this. So one of the things that we're testing is, again, solving a problem. So a problem that I've always experienced throwing events is, like, as we get closer to the event, you get just a ton of people. Bob, you can relate to this, right? You get a ton of people asking you the same question over and over. Where is it? What time does it start? What, all of those types of things. Everybody's shaking their head. So what I did is I said, how do I just install like an AI chatbot on the site? Can I just send everyone somewhere and just say, talk to whatever? So we named our chatbot Goose, from Top Gun.
Periodically, do people just type in, watch the canopy? No.
Watch the canopy.
Yeah, so you're going to kill it off soon?
Right, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, yeah, about 2 days before the event, gets killed off.
Yeah. So, again, I just think I think there's so much noise. Every time I open an AI newsletter, the ones I'm subscribed to, there's like 10 new tools that we're sharing with you today. And there's like, 5 things you need to know about Google's Gemini versus OpenAI and all this stuff. And I'm in this industry and I melt every morning when I read all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I try to read it so I can be informed for the people that I'm talking to. I melt. So what we really want to show you with AI Mavericks, and what I help you to understand is, here's like the 5% you need to focus on, and then 95% of things you just don't need to pay attention to, because they really don't impact your business right now, right? And if we're going to spend our time focused on anything, if we're going to use that energy, let's put that energy into solving one thing. What's just one thing, one problem, and let's get comfortable with it and start there. Now, one thing that is similar between where AI is today and where the internet was kind of when I first got started is you have a lot of entrepreneurs creating new tools whose businesses aren't capitalized, whose businesses aren't secure, whose data isn't secure. So I really recommend that if you're going to start to experiment, do your homework to make sure that you're experimenting with a company that is capitalized, been around for a little bit, they've got a senior team who's been through this before. Just so you don't spend a lot of time on something and 6 months later they're out of business. I read 2 weeks ago that in the first 6 months of last year, 9,000 AI businesses were started in the United States. And of those 9,000, about 8,300 are already out of business.
Wow.
That was what I saw. Now, new businesses continue to get started. But my point is just be careful to mitigate your risk.
Fantastic. Okay. So we got to look for somebody who's already established and running, somebody who's got a management team or the senior leadership that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. That goes through. So since you play in the field, and this is an unfair question to ask you, but you play in the field, right? Elon went and sued ChatGPT, which originally he was one of the investors in it to go forward, and he's done it. And they've got the robot that's doing ChatGPT's doing 5th grade math now. Yeah. And that just sent Elon to the moon, right? Not Mars, but to the moon. So what is the fear point that everybody should know, right? And doesn't understand why he's creating, I think it's Optimus is his, fight the AIs that are out there.
Like, why are people afraid of Elon creating
No, why is Elon scared? Like, what is it that triggered him to go, oh, danger, danger, I need to go and slow these people down?
I think that Elon is probably just more upset that the original vision for OpenAI, remember that the name is Open AI, it's not closed AI. the original vision for OpenAI when Elon initially funded it was that all of the code, everything would be open source. And one of the reasons that he wanted everything to be open source, and that Sam Altman agreed at that time, was to help put this tool in a position where you had lots of people able to work on it and hopefully policing it for good, right? And OpenAI became a closed AI company, right? And I think that Elon's biggest fear. So when Elon initially funded OpenAI, it came following a conversation that he had with one of the founders of Google, and Elon was concerned about what the Google product would be able to do or allowed to do, and that's why he wanted to do an open thing. And so I believe that he's upset about the fact that it's not open. I think he's upset that it can be misused, and I think maybe more than anything, he's upset that a big company like Microsoft has so much control of that business, which was supposed to be open to everybody.
Got it. So yeah. When I built my chatbots, I had one of them for teaching dark psychology, right? I couldn't get ChatGPT to give me a good enough model, right, for the identity of that one. But I went to Bard and it gave me one, no issue at all, because I had to change the world that the bot lived in because it's all trying to stay ethical. Bard played in the gray more. So,
and I think for people that are listening that aren't necessarily entirely tracking what it is that you're talking about, the way I think about it is this. The way I think about it is like, imagine that OpenAI, whose product is ChatGPT, right, or Google, whose product is Gemini. Imagine those developers were chefs, and each team had 3 ingredients that they could use, right? And the 3 ingredients produce the same output, right? Or relatively close to the same output.
Right.
You give one of those chefs one more thing, one more ingredient, it could significantly change what the results are, what the answers are, the content. And so, when people talk about like an OpenAI versus a Google or anyone else building these large language models, the concern is, who is it and what are the ingredients that are being put in order to get a result? And how are those ingredients influencing the result that I'm getting? And I think that is where people get really concerned.
I love it. You just flipped AI, all the AI to Chopped. I was just sitting there going, who's going to be the Chopped champion that got the extra ingredient out of the pantry? So that's fantastic. Brian, any questions? So I want to get to as well. I want to make sure the questions get answered for the VIPs that are on the screen, but I also want to get to, who are you looking for to drop into AI Mavericks? Who's your ideal person?
Yeah, I mean, it's founders, CEOs, it's leadership teams. You are trying to figure out, how do I implement AI? Like, what is the opportunity for me in my business, and how do I do it? And I really need somebody to talk to me and walk me through this, not in a technical way, not in a way where I have to learn so much about this and become an expert, not in a way where I need to go in and create what people are saying are called prompts or this or that. Like, just tell me as a leader, what is it I need to pay attention to and why? Help me to develop a strategy and a plan. Help me to understand how I communicate that with the people and the team around me. That's the person that's right for us.
Okay.
Because we're going to do it. We're going to hold your hand. Yeah.
That's perfect. So now what I'm looking at is, what's the approach, right? Because now I'm going to cheat. I've been to the website already. Yeah. So I can tell you, right, it's in-person events.
Yeah.
Right. But then I also signed up for the newsletter, already went through. I'm like, okay, what is it that's there? So give me overall the 50,000 foot view is, we do this, we do this, we do this. This is how often we expect people to meet. We are accessible during this, stuff like that. The value, the nuggets kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah. So we get together as a group 3 times a year, 3 times, in January, in May, and in September. It's a kickoff dinner and then 2 full days. And each day has a theme. So our kickoff dinner is all about collaboration. Our first day is all about preparation, sharing with you all the things that you need to know, all the changes since the last time we were all together, all of that. And then the second full day is all about implementation. So again, collaboration, implementation, or collaboration, preparation, implementation. And that's what we do. We have phenomenal speakers, and everything that we're sharing, again, it's not from 50,000 feet. It's from the ground. We're not talking about what's going on with AI in 50 years. This is all about how you can apply it in your business today. The rule that every speaker has is they have to give a case study for how they're using AI in their business to show you what they're doing. And then we workshop. So we workshop together, and I take you through a process I've created for understanding, again, how to develop your vision and your strategy and your roadmap and all of that stuff. And then finally, we roundtable. So we have roundtables throughout this event where there are people from different departments of a company. So there's a sales roundtable, a finance roundtable, a marketing roundtable. So you can drop into each one of those areas, whatever's most important for you. So again, we meet 3 times a year in person. All of our meetings are in Utah. And then we get together once a month virtually. And each month, what we do is we pick one department from a company. We share the top 2 or 3 tools being used in that department, our experience working with them. So we can share the good, the bad, the ugly. And then we answer questions. So what's cool about those monthlies is we invite you to bring your entire team onto those calls so that everyone in your organization can start to get trained. And if this month we're talking about marketing, bring your marketing team. If next month we're talking about sales, bring your sales team. So we want to empower you kind of at every level of your organization to begin to develop this culture of innovation and helping people to understand how to implement that AI innovation into the organization.
Joe, you're muted.
Should probably mute myself as I'm talking. Yes. I looked up, I'm like, hey, there's no little bar moving. So I always laugh because I say there's always people that text me questions and text me stuff, but I got a text with Scott's face that's there saying, okay, I want to be part of this.
Cool.
And I'm like, okay, I agree. So is it something, right? So in the world that I play mostly on sales is automotive. Okay. Where the owner knows he needs to be doing something with AI, right? And I have my own AI products that I can baby step into, but the owner knows they need to, but they always designate a champion, right? And they say, okay, great. I'm not going to go do another meeting. I've already got the dealer meetings and stuff. So is that something feasible as well, where they can just say, I'm going to go pay the membership for this individual to go, right? And build this into my company. So
it's a big part of it. It's because I think that what you're saying, that example is a big part of this, because in the membership, because first of all, your CEO or your leader or whoever it is, they can't be everywhere and they can't do everything. And most busy leaders don't necessarily have time to drop in for 2.5 or 3 days and learn this stuff, become experts in the space. And so they'll assign somebody within their organization who is responsible for helping them to understand how to move forward, kind of leveraging AI. And so I would say that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. And so then we would tell her, go to aimavericks.ai and have ownership agree with what's there. Good question that came in too, right? Duke is saying, how can AI Mavericks help a solopreneur?
Well, first of all, Dr. V right there, there he is right there. He is the man. And
absolutely.
And Dr. V is an incredible solopreneur. And I would say that,
and he's probably sitting on his ranch right now, on the patio watching this. Yeah.
Well, for example, I would say that as it relates to being the owner of an Airbnb or a ranch or something like that, there's a bunch of different ways that you can use AI, from understanding scheduling and booking patterns to pricing optimization, to understanding how to market and craft content to market your property in the most effective way, to really understanding who your target audience is and making sure that you're connecting with them in the places that they want to connect in order to attract and convert them to be people that stay at your at your Airbnb. There's a lot of different things that you could do.
Fantastic. Brian, any questions? Because I've chewed up 30 minutes of Scott Duffy's.
No,
you're
no,
good.
I'm just listening to it. I liked the aura question. So not as in does he have an aura, but what does he get out of his aura? The middle finger.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. So, Tyler,
I'm addicted to. I don't know if any of you guys have this. I am addicted to this thing.
No,
that's my fear. How do you wear it when you're working out? Because I'm gonna be one of those. I used to do CrossFit and I can't wear rings or anything.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always curious. Some people do that. Some people do the Whoop.
Yep.
And I was curious why you chose, but we can do that on another episode.
Got it. By the way, I wear gloves, and so I don't notice it. That's how. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right. It's very manly and problem solving, like Brian. Just going to point that out. Tyler, you got any questions? Also from automotive world.
I think I always have questions, about using AI, but the more I use it, the more I'm like, man, do I really even know how to use this? I guess I keep looping myself back into the same question. It seems like there's, more and more ways we can use it. So those specific questions, just always open to, advice on how a car salesman could use it. Like, what do you see a car salesman using it for most, productively?
It's funny. A zillion years ago, 30 years ago, when I worked for Tony Robbins, one of the places that we used to speak is at car dealerships, and we would do sales workshops for the sales team, obviously. And I remember that one of the biggest issues that the sales managers would tell me that they had was on the follow-up. And I think that one of the really cool ways that AI can help the sales process at a dealership or with an individual salesperson is creating automated AI chatbots and texts that will actually do the work for you. Enter a phone number and a person's name, and hit go, and that will begin an automated sequence. And some of these automated sequences now, the conversational AI is so fantastic that you really can't tell the difference between a real human and the AI. And I'm testing a couple of those right now for our sales team, and I've been completely blown away at the results. I really have.
Yeah, I've used a bot, for a few things, but sometimes it just goes like way off the rails.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out like how do I kind of get it back over on this side of the line, because it can get wild sometimes.
I think one of the things that's really tough about AI at this stage, in the same way that it was tough with the internet at this stage in the 90s, is that there's a lot of back end work that needs to happen in order to make it a smooth ride on a lot of the applications. And so I think that a lot of what's out there today requires the help of somebody that is either very technical or very digital or likes to roll up their sleeves and kind of get into that stuff. And I think that that's a disconnect with a lot of kind of how a lot of entrepreneurs are and how a lot of business leaders are. It's maybe too in the weeds for them. But what happens over time is the applications evolve and things become a lot more simple and straightforward, so anyone is able to use them and pop it. But I feel that for most of the stuff that I test today, it's not there yet. And as a result, I end up getting really frustrated, and I end up having to call somebody or a couple of people to help me to figure out how to use it or fix it. Like, I thought I did it right, but I just took it as far as I wanted to go, so calling somebody to fix it.
Fantastic. JR, questions?
Just a brief one, Scott. I'm on the newsletter also. I'm coming in as a solopreneur, and I think I'm somewhere beyond the unknowing, unconscious, but not too far. So
Nice.
it's good to hear that I'm in company, such an esteemed company like you, that says the whole industry is unknowing and unconscious, and it's still trying to evolve. So maybe I've got more in it, and those of us that feel inadequate from competency in this department. A very interesting hour, and thank you so much for sharing with us, because it's always great to hear people that are practitioners on this leading edge helping us get to where we need to be. Thank you.
Amen.
Fantastic. Mr. Bob Donnell. Next
Hey,
level
Scott.
Bob.
Scott, my question for you is, what do you see as being the biggest distraction from people joining or using AI?
To help me out with distraction. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, there's going to be people that just say, "No, I'm not interested because I don't want to learn something new. I don't want."
Yeah.
But what are the things that are distracting people from doing? Is it the naysayers that are talking in the market? Is it the lack of understanding? Is it the lack of clarity? Is it the lack of ability to execute? What do you think is the thing that's distracting people from joining?
If I can just share a short story to answer that question. When I was growing up, my family was in the printing and engraving industry. And it was an industry, they've been in it for 50 years, one of the biggest shops west of the Mississippi. And I remember actually that all the men in my family used to come home smelling like ink, right? It's a very distinctive smell from the printers. And back in the day when you would make an ad, you had these incredibly skilled craftspeople, and they used photography and sticks and glue, and they literally on a piece of it, they assembled an ad. They cut things out like it was, and then they would take pictures, and that's how they made them. And then I was working at one shop, and they got what was called a Cytex. It was $1 million machine, $1 million, like a huge computer that required a whole room. And for the first time, they could do digital editing. Okay, and that was a big deal. Then they got a Mac. Okay, and it ran Quark. If anybody remembers that program, it ran Quark. And so, but here was the thing: the sales and the customer service was on one side, and on the other side of the place was where the printers were and where all the craftsmen were. There was no place to put this guy, so they put him in the area that was the hallway. No joke. And they set this guy up with a Mac. And the crazy thing is that everybody had to walk by it multiple times every day. And some people pretended like it wasn't even there because there was a fear about what is that freaking thing over there. And some people jumped right into it. And those people ended up going and they started some of the first digital shops in LA. And they leveraged the technology to significantly cut costs and price and make editing easier, all this kind of stuff. I think, Bob, that the biggest issue that people have with AI today is they're afraid to drop in because they're so overwhelmed. And they really don't, because when anything new comes out, you ask two things. What does this mean and what should I do? And I think, number one, people are unclear about what this means for them in their future. And because of that, they're frozen and they're stuck in the kind of what should I do? It's easier not to do anything. So for the people that aren't, I think that's where they are. But what we've learned is the winners are the ones that jump in. And jumping in could be as simple as, if you've never used ChatGPT, just download the app and ask it a question and see how it works. Like, just get started. That's it. And I think by just getting started, it will help you to develop a curiosity. And that will be what kind of carries you and enables you to get more momentum.
Got it. Yeah. Great answer. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. In my Chat GPT for beginners class, I tell everybody, type in what's your favorite food, and they're like, oh, well, I love lasagna. I'm like, so then go ask Chat GPT, can I get a recipe for the world's best lasagna, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden it comes back and tells them what to do, and they're like, really? And I'm like, how can you be scared of a chef, right? He doesn't even have a knife. let's go
Right.
do this, right? And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. So Tom is writing your copy for you. So AI Mavericks, launch Maverick on alert 5. So that's
Awesome.
going to be the newsletter, the special edition newsletter. Yes. So
Hey, and somebody mentioned the newsletter, our newsletter earlier. If you go to aimavericks.ai, you can sign up for our newsletter. Everything that we're doing is touches AI in some way.
Right.
So again, even as it relates to a newsletter, there's Daily AI, DAILY.ai. Phenomenal company. Joe Stolte is the entrepreneur. A phenomenal company. And they will help you to develop your email newsletter. But what's really cool is after training the model and beginning to send it out, that AI is going to pay attention to what people are reading, what they're opening, what they're clicking on, where they're spending their time in their email while they're in. Every single week, it's going to be optimizing that. And that's why their open rates are over 65%. Versus the industry average, which is less than 1%. So I think that again, there's just ask yourself, what's one problem that I want to solve in my business, or one thing I'd like to do, and I guarantee you, there's some type of AI solution out there for you that would be much simpler and easier than you ever imagined to implement.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Scott. We are gonna go ahead and shut it down. Amazing, you killed it. Let's be real. So aimavericks.ai, everybody. We need to. Tom is looking up every reference to Top Gun that he can. So
thank you, Tom.
He's got Kenny Loggins playing in the background and in his house right now.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yes. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Joe, thank you. Bob, thank you. Tyler, Bob, everyone.
Yes. Fantastic. Everybody go out and sell something. Thanks so much, Scott and Bob.